I don't know. I'd like to call the Marquette County Board of Commissioners regular meeting Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, 6 p.m. to order. We have some guests today, and college student Ariella Stafford, would you be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that, Ariella. Roll call, please. Corey Beth.
Commissioner Adamini?
Here.
Commissioner Lalonde? Here. Commissioner Alholm?
Here.
Commissioner Nordin?
Here.
Chairperson DeRocha?
Here. Approval of tonight's agenda. Your pleasure, Board.
I move to approve the amended agenda for this date.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Alholm. Is there support? Support by Commissioner Lalonde. Questions or comments on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion approved. Approval of the minutes of the following meetings. Budget workshop held on September 15, 2025. Your pleasure.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Alholm. Support?
Support.
Support by Commissioner Lalonde. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Workshop meeting approved. Regular minutes held on September 16, 2025.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Lalonde. Excuse me, motion by Commissioner Alholm. Looking at one, saying the other.
I support.
Support by Commissioner Lalonde. Questions or comments on the September 16th minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Proclamations, presentations, and awards are non-public comment. We have a first public comment period, which is 5 minutes. Public comment. State your name and welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Leanna Pepin. I'm the 4-H educator and program coordinator in Marquette County. And today is Tuesday of our National 4-H Week. So I'm here with a small group of 4-Hers, and we just wanted to take a few moments to thank you for your continued support of the 4-H program here in Marquette County. Because Michigan 4-H is part of MSU Extension, the activities our kids participate in are all backed by and based on child and youth development research. Through hands-on learning in a wide variety of program areas, youth gain valuable knowledge, enhance their expertise, and find their spark. These skills help young people become ready for whatever the future holds, ready to lead, ready to build, ready to serve, and ready to contribute to the world around them. We're working to build a ready generation that is 2 times more likely to live with purpose, 2 times more likely to be a leader, 4 times more likely to give back to the community, and 4 times more likely to feel competent. Again, thank you so much for supporting 4-H. I do actually have a handout with some statistics on it for you. Thought I would share that with you. I can pass it over here, but thank you for your time, and I'm going to now turn it over. We'll recite the 4-H pledge for you, and then Ariella has a few thoughts of her own. You guys ready?
Yeah.
I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living, for my club, my community, my country, and my world.
I just wanted to say how 4-H is a really good youth development program. I know personally for myself, with the rural areas, it's really good to have an outlet to express and give back to our community. I was a young pace setter for 10 years myself, and it was very nice to come up to college and still have this connection and be able to give back to now younger 4-Hers. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is your wife saying
Okay, no, I don't know. public comment?
Good evening, Margaret Brum, 404 East Magnetic Street, and before anybody asks, 5 days negative on COVID, so I know that you worry about that, but I don't go in public when I am. Here for some updates on some things we've talked about in the past and a suggestion for something I overheard before the meeting began. Last time I was here was to talk about Constitution Day over at the Dome, and it was the worst possible weather. It was a beautiful sunny outside day, and it was the worst possible focus in terms of you'd want to do anything else. And to a person, my students said it was the first time in their life they'd ever been ordered to read the entire Constitution at one time. And they walked around, some of them in groups, some of them by themselves, some of them tucked away in a nook, in a cranny, figuring it out for themselves. And I also handed out copies of the Constitution. Thank you, sir. Who has anyone who wants a copy of that got a copy of the Constitution. There weren't as many people as there have been, but my students reported that they had never had a chance to think about it, and this was a time when the news media was bubbling with different challenges to different parts of the Constitution. So it was an enormously productive situation, and also will be repeated each term I teach business law, because there's one thing we know is the Constitution is eternal. So thank you for letting me come and talk about that, and you're always welcome. And if anybody needs a rehash of the Constitution, I happen to know my way around it. Secondly, last week in Escanaba, there were 2 training sessions. I don't know if anybody else here is going to address that, but I wanted to make sure you heard. My spot was given over to someone who didn't have COVID, and they were eager to have it. There was a session on Tuesday night having to deal with euthanasia of trapped animals that you couldn't rescue, and another session on Wednesday, which real living animals were brought up on a trailer so that the people enrolled had a chance to work with animals. And as my friend Kathy said, I had never been close to that many pigs in my life. And you know, they're different than the sheep, and they're really different than my horses. And I went, and that's why you have real training. But I wanted to let you know as a collective body that people came from not just all over the Upper Peninsula, there were people from downstate, from close to Midland area. Now, why they would come to Escanaba as opposed to the Lansing, I don't know. But I do know this as a first opportunity to have this type of actual hands-on training. It was well attended and well regarded. And this is some of the things that have happened because of one person starting and another person, the chief of fire department in Forsyth Township stepped up and took ownership of the trailer. And he was interviewed and explained he was a cattleman himself and he knew the value. You can always tell if somebody's into livestock because you ask them what the going rate is for a certain type of animal and they'd rattle it just off. Talk to Senator McBroom, talk to this man, he knew exactly the value. So he's talking about it in economic terms as well. One of the things that Kathy came back with and shared with me is that this is an opportunity for the board to step up. This is National Fire Prevention Month, and most of the parts of the county of Marquette are served by volunteer fire departments, and there is a dearth of volunteers. And the ready people, the ones they pick up the phone and call, are all about my age, which is you want to have a younger core to build in, like the 4-H people will grow up to be these types of people. But I would encourage you, and I'll be sending you a note asking you to have a proclamation at the next meeting to encourage volunteers to reach out to their volunteer fire department, because there's a need. There isn't any volunteer fire department in the Upper Peninsula that has enough trained volunteers. And that came out during the training about the animals as well. And the last thing I wanted to say is I overheard the conversation about illegal dumping in Marquette County. And at one time I was at a session where the Eagle people were there and they had counted 92 locations in Marquette County with illegal dumps. So there's an ongoing problem. Anybody who's ever hired someone to come to their house and take stuff away legally and dispose of it legally knows the difference is going down a 2-lane road, dumping it off the back of your car for free, or doing it the right way. But I do have a saving grace for you is to communicate now with the Superior Watershed Partnership. You know them, they're in the Blue House out at the island, and set up a time to do a plan for next year with their climate control people for the projects they have. And you can work with your law enforcement who know where the dumping sites are, and you can work with the Superior Watershed Partnership, and you can actually plan to tackle those dump sites. And I don't know the law enforcement aspect, that's not my deal. What I'm saying is they get grants from organizations to dispose of used tires, which is the most expensive thing to dump. And if you talk to Don Fossbender, who took over 14,000 pounds of used tires out of the lower harbor, and had grants to deal with them. This is an opportunity now, and I'm encouraging you to reach out to them now, because by the time the spring comes, they're booked. I mean, these climate control young people are very much in demand. Anyway, thank you for your patience and listening to me and for this report.
Thank you. Public comment. Public comment.
Good evening, Commissioners. Antonio Don, Marquette County Land Bank Director. Here tonight just to update you on a couple items, one pertinent to tonight's agenda and one side note. We are hosting the State Land Bank, Michigan Land Bank Association this week here in Marquette. Really proud of our accomplishments throughout, and it's nice to see a lot of state agencies up here in Marquette. We have about 100 or so folks attending this week and talking about a lot of topics, including housing tax increment finance plans as a mechanism to get spur development, to get some of these communities that need housing under 120% of the area median income. So just segueing to that, we've been working really hard here at the county to try to find solutions for housing that meets the needs of the community. That means that we have a target market analysis that's showing data that people can only pay so much for rent, can only pay so much for due to the cost of living, can only afford a mortgage so high. So tonight's presentation that you hear about a little later, that includes Renovari Marquette, they've been working really hard to come up with a solution. MISHTA, the state agency, is supporting about 17 units. 13 of those that will be considered on the affordable missing middle income bracket. So specifically 4 of those will be 60% area median income, and then the rest, about 17 total, will be under 120% area median income. And that's exactly what we're aiming to accomplish here in some of these projects. So hopefully tonight you can see some of that support and from the township and other leaders. Really just need to find ways to build more housing in this county, and this I'm in full support of this project. So yeah, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Antonio. Public comment.
Hello, I'm Sarah Green. I'm from Calumet Township, and I have a bigger picture comment to make. Thanks for this opportunity to speak with you today. You know better than me all the amazing things that local people are doing, 4-H and all of the local people here in Marquette County and also across the UP. But on the federal level, you know that it's been a turbulent summer with an onslaught of outrageous attacks on people, institutions, government, and the fundamental ideas of democracy, freedom, and human rights. Anyone who's paying attention is terrified by the prospect of an autocratic takeover of the wealthiest country in the world, a country that has long been the beacon of freedom and justice and is home to so many people who are committed to overcoming past injustices and making the world better for everyone. Unfortunately, many people are not paying attention, as many impacts are distant or delayed. ICE raids and domestic military deployments are occurring in faraway cities. Medicaid and SNAP cuts and insurance rate hikes are coming but haven't hit yet. Likewise, the folly of undermining our public health system, FEMA won't be evident until we personally need those services. Diversion of law enforcement to detaining non-criminal immigrants replaces actual crime fighting with indiscriminate and discriminatory shows of force, often only noticed by victims and their families. Climate impacts, increased pollution, and loss of our public lands will slowly become apparent over time, long after the vandals have made off with the spoils. The loss of American influence and prestige on the global scale is also hard to see from inside the US bubble, though surely the pathetic performance at the UN last week convinced many that the emperor has no clothes. In July, the July announcement that 14 million people will most likely die from cuts to USAID has already fallen off our radar. Meanwhile, the incredible accelerating worldwide transition to clean, low-cost energy is being led by China and will soon leave us in the dust or in the smog, dependent on foul fossil fuels instead of free wind and sunlight. Some impacts are being felt locally. Inflation is being driven by these absurd tariffs. Attacks on immigrants are leading to business and job stagnation. Canadian tourists are staying away. crossings from the Sioux are down 25% this year. Please pay attention. Ask, why is our congressional representative promoting policies designed to further enrich the 1% while cutting health care from his own constituents? Why is wealth of the president and his family growing exponentially with crypto grifts, special business deals, and cozy relationships with oppressive leaders in the Middle East, while everyday people suffer economic insecurity? Why do citizens of other countries have guaranteed family leave, universal health care, longer lifespans, robust internet privacy laws, and paid vacations? The stakes are high. When government workers are loyal only to the dictator, corruption flourishes. Deprived of impartial justice, businesses and citizens learn to pay bribes and stay quiet to stay off enemies' lists. Public trust dissolves and freedom of speech, action, and imagination is repressed. I urge you as public officials to stand up against this insanity. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Public comment? Public comment? Any further public comment? Any electronic participation? No? One more time. Public comment?
You have one on it, though?
No comment, okay. Hearing nobody, no continued public comment, we'll close the first public comment period and we'll move on to review of claims and accounts. Total expenditures paid via check and EFT transfers for the period of September 12th, 2025 through October 2nd, 2025 were $1,754,568.29. The biweekly payroll for the period ending September 13th, 2025 was $952,660.84, and the biweekly payroll for the period ending September 27, 2025 was $864,162.78. Your pleasure, board.
I'd move approval as presented.
Motion by Vice Chair Nordine to pay the bills. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Commissioner Adamini. Any questions or comments?
I got a quick comment. I think it's kind of odd that for the payroll, it should be the same going through it, and it's down by $90,000. So why is
Payroll will
that?
be affected by termination payouts and Section 131, temporary employees, seasonal employees. It's not unusual.
Okay.
So motion on the floor and support. Any further questions or comments on the bills? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing, we're going to start, we need a motion to, we'll close out the board meeting for a moment and engage into the public hearing for the brownfield plan. So could we get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Alholm. Is there support? Support by Vice Chair Nordine to open up the public hearing on Renovari Brownfield. So, get through my stack here. So tonight, we are going to open up this public hearing on adoption of a brownfield plan pursuant in accordance with the Public Act 381 in the state of Michigan as of 1996 is amended. Public notice shall therefore be held Marquette County Board of Commissioners on October 7th, 2025 and at 6:20 in room 231 Henry Skews Annex. The adoption of the brownfield plan for new workforce housing at 170 County Road 492, Marquette Township. The Marquette County Board of Commissioners shall exercise its power in accordance with the provisions in the Brownfield Redevelopment Financial Act of 1996, Public Act 381 as amended. So they're a vacant 5.3 acre property located at 170 County Road 492. At the property ID number, I'll actually read it off, 52-08-020-024-00 is currently owned by the Marquette Township. Marquette Township will sell the property to Renovar Marquette Homes LLC, which will build 48 new cottages, duplexes, townhouses for sale, which will be sold, which 17 will be sold to individual families earning up to 120% of the Marquette County area medium income homes may not be used for short-term rentals. These properties considered eligible underneath the Act 381 because it is a development of housing. If approved, the brownfield plan would reimburse the developer its eligible costs incurred, prepared the property for redevelopment. Eligible costs included environmental assessment sites, preparation, infrastructure, costs to prepare and administer the brownfield plan, and a contribution to the Marquette County Local Brownfield Revolving Fund. So I'd like to open up the hearing for any public comments on this issue. Is there any public comment as we move forward? Somewhere I saw the Honorable Lynn Durant in the crowd. I didn't know if she might want to make some public comment.
I'm happy to answer questions if anybody has any.
How about the treasurer and the director of the brownfield? Does she have anything she'd like to add?
Well, I have a couple questions if I could. Maybe, I don't know if it's for
So I
Lynn
guess,
or Antonio
yeah, let's, go ahead, Jackie.
or Jackie.
Yes.
So my question, I can't tell from the map exactly where this is. How far down 492 is this? This is going down
Right across from Lost Creek.
from what?
Lost Creek on the
Oh,
corner.
okay.
Where we used to have a trash pickup there every Wednesday.
Yep. And then is it gonna have municipal water and sewer?
Yes.
And is it getting close enough to there's already a problem down there with this, there's a townhome, not a townhome, a condominium development, site condominium that has no water and sewer, which is very near here, I thought, so it's not gonna get that far?
No, that's down 492 farther.
Further.
Probably about halfway between Marquette Township and Medallion Township.
That one I'm talking about is?
492.
Okay. I was hoping it would solve that problem too, but, okay.
Not that far.
Okay.
So go ahead, Jackie. Yes.
That was a pretty good summary, but I'll just let you guys know, this is the first brownfield plan you're seeing with housing added as an eligible activity. That was added by the state. They recognized that access statewide to attainable housing is a problem, and that it is critical to the economic growth and community stability. And that's why the state had added that as an eligible activity. There are a number of these that have been approved across the state, and maybe one or two in the UP so far, but this is the first one you guys are seeing.
So, real quick question, Jackie. So, does that assist in funding this project by adding the state housing component to it?
So there is state capture on this plan, so we will be able to leverage that to help fund those eligible activities.
Okay, so we're still under public comment. Is there any further public comment that the general public would like to make on this plan? Any further questions for anybody?
No, I don't know.
So hearing.
Well, I'll make a comment. I think it's a good idea. I like what Antonio said. I mean, we need this. I mean, we don't have enough housing. It's concerning the price of housing, and so we certainly need to do what we can, and I'm glad, I applaud Marquette Township and the Land Bank for working together on this.
So we're going to move forward. We will close this public hearing. We've taken public comment, and we'll address it under action items as we move forward. So is there a motion to close out the public hearing?
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Adamini, support by Commissioner Alholm. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and then reopen the meeting. Public hearing closed at 6:25.
Did we vote on that? Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I don't know if we voted on it.
Do we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Does it need to be a roll call vote?
No, this is.
The next one we do.
The next one will be a roll call, because it'll be a resolution.
Which I make a motion, we enter into the resolution.
Well, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're jumping out of there. Hang on.
I was trying to hurry up here.
Work with me, I know, I was gonna say Tigers game must be on, you know? You know, we had this before with the former chair, don't we? When it was a Tigers night,
Got me
remember?
hooked on that.
Yeah, let's see, okay. All right, moving right along, privilege comment. Under Sheriff Larson, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. Just like to present our September statistics. Moving into our corrections and our jail needs. What you'll notice is that the population at our current facility has maintained the same over the last month, but what has trended up is the amount of inmates that we are boarding up to other counties. 3 months ago it was at 21, and as of last month it was up to 30 average. Our releases have been somewhat steady, a little bit lower, but you'll also see that the average homeless population is also trending up. I just had a recent presentation last week, and I had the question of, are we housing people in jail because they're homeless? The answer is no. They have committed either a felony or a high-level misdemeanor, and they just happen to be homeless. So it's not, it's not a place to stay if you just need a place to stay. But that's generally what we're housing in our jail that identify themselves as homeless or don't have an address or give us an address. On the next slide, just a breakdown of our daily population, each bar being a day, and the red line being our capacity. The red bars being how many inmates we're boarding up to other counties. Moving on to our law enforcement, our activity has trended down in September. I'm going to attribute that to school coming back online and summer activities winding down a little bit. And we also had, we had extensive training in September, which was occupying a lot of our time with our deputies. On the next slide, we have special operations, pretty stable there. I just wanted to give a shout out to our technical rescue unit, although it did not occur in September, but last week, the confined space rescue attempt at the Hoist Dam. It's one of those things that happens very rarely, a confined space rescue, but I guess rest assured to the citizens of Marquette County that we do have a team that's trained up to do those kinds of things, and appreciate also the willingness of Marquette City Fire with their technical rescue team to assist in that as well. So I appreciate those efforts. Moving on to front office, all of our numbers in our front office are trending up. As far as handguns registered, warrant entry, protective orders, sex offenders verified, and background requests. So I'm hoping more people want to get jobs somewhere. That's why the background requests are coming up. So we'll have more candidates. Thank you. Any questions or concerns?
No, just a note that applaud the 131 crew for the rescue mission that they went on. That's asking a lot when you have a volunteer group to go down a pipe 80 feet and in those circumstances. So job well done.
I agree.
Job well done.
Confined spaces are a tough situation. You never know. When you deal with them all the time and you just don't know when there's bad gases down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was filled with VOC fumes.
Okay. Thank you, Undersheriff.
Thank you.
Linda Rant, Materials Management.
Can't follow that, I'm sorry.
Welcome. Great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
The Honorable Linda Rant, you have the floor.
I did have some more information for you this month to hand out, so you don't have to take notes. Statistics and dates on there that involve the state's materials management. So our meeting in Escanaba was September 18th. One of the questions I've been hearing over and over is, can that group meet somewhere else? Because 6 of us are coming from Marquette County, driving to Escanaba separately. So the group of 21, there's 2 seats open, there's supposed to be 23, decided that that was more centrally located for everybody, especially where some of them are changing time zones. So we're just going to stay in Escanaba. But I did ask if we could possibly do some work sessions, at least online occasionally, because some of the things we discuss we don't need motions. So they agreed, and we're going to do our next meeting next week, I think it is, online, because it'll just be a discussion. So that'll help save a little bit of mileage.
So Lynn, if I may, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I have a question on the tip of my tongue here. So this became an issue way back when in the inception of this with the 15 counties at the UpCap when it was the development of this material management. And we were all singing the same song that you're speaking to now about location and time of the meeting. So who's is the tail wagging the dog here with QPAD and they're not accommodating what the electeds are asking for?
The 21 of us decided, I mean, there
Okay.
wasn't a vote, but the consensus was that because there were people coming from Menominee, Dickinson, Alger, that Escanaba was central.
And the time of the day that the meeting's held?
I also asked for that, and again, that time change messes people up. Some of the people who are on there now are working full-time, so they might be even just doing their lunch hour for this meeting. So,
So,
Okay.
I'm not getting anywhere.
so I have a couple things there. So, yeah, I think that having meetings like this in the afternoon is hard because a lot of people do work and you want some of those hardworking people to be on these types of committees, you know? And I wish this was in the evening. That's why we have our meeting here. And we don't have our meeting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because we'd have less people here.
The only advantage really is in the winter. We missed one meeting because of a snowstorm. The roads were bad. But at least we're in and out of there. They try to hold it to an hour. You know, the agenda is kind of structured that way, so that we're not driving too much in the dark. So that's one of the advantages, having it at 3 o'clock.
So, and the other thing I would ask is that, or ask about is, why can't, we're having trouble getting quorums and enough people going to these meetings, right? Why can't you amend the bylaws and allow people to attend by Zoom?
No, that's a state law.
Is it a state law?
Mhm.
It's not our bylaws that did that?
Nope. We're required. The state is fueling all of this, which is kind of, and that's some of what I handed out. It's happening in all the counties across the state, this particular management plan. It's just that the 6 of us got together, I guess. I don't know who fueled that. If the county commissioners did, or how it ended up, that 6 of us were gonna do something. Then the west end broke off and the east end broke off. So I don't know what's happening downstate, but this is all fueled by and that you've got some deadlines there, that the state is requiring this stuff to happen.
So I guess, maybe the next suggestion would be, let's reach out to Representative Bonac and Senator McBroom and say, listen, we gotta change that statute. If it is a statute or a rule, an administrative rule, I'm not sure which it is, that says they can't do it by remote Zoom, I think that should be changed. I mean,
Like, I think McBroom has worked on that, but still, not for this. Like, I'm also on the QPAD board, and it's super frustrating to drive all the way down there during my work day and then not
it's
get
very
a quorum.
difficult. It doesn't make any sense in this
Well,
day and age.
well,
They're
then-
doing everything by Zoom.
Maybe the answer to that is that the state should allocate funding to pay these board members to go to and from these meetings, and you'll find out just how quickly all of this, right?
Well, we get mileage. That's some of what I was gonna talk to Cammie and Dwayne tomorrow about, some of the funding. If I think you were invited to, Chair,
Yeah.
rather than take up this board's time, and they can present, to the commission. But we do get mileage from state money that was given to each county. So,
Yeah, that's insignificant though, for the commitment, the level of commitment we're talking about here is.
because some of the folks, if I'm not mistaken, some of the folks who were having trouble getting there are no longer, they stepped down. We had 2 or 3 that were kind of the problem ones. And even the ones who could get there, Ryan is really good about sending out questionnaires, who's gonna come, and, he's very meticulous. And we had 4 people who just didn't show up. So, they didn't even say they weren't coming, we could cancel the meeting. So it's just people that are chosen, not necessarily just by this commission, but all 6. They're not responsible people. How do you fight that? But just a couple of things I wanted to point out on this, just so you're aware, and it's kind of on the record. The materials management plan, like I said, is the whole state. This is all driven by the governor. This was her baby, as far as I'm told. It includes, our charge is to set up a plan for regulating solid waste, recycling, and composting in the state. And again, a lot of these counties are doing it independently downstate. We just happen to have broken it off separately into the 3 groups in the UP. The management plan regulates provisions for the siting, operation, and strategic use of solid waste. So some of the counties downstate might actually be creating landfills. We're not doing any of that up here, but we still have to follow the direction for the plan itself on how we control, or if we are to add transfer stations or something like that in our 6 counties. And organics is also going to be a big part of this. We haven't really touched on that very much. Right now it's recycling and solid waste. So the Central UP's plan that we are trying to put together is due June 27th of 2027. So we have time, but we have to have a draft by next summer. And that's where I'm getting a little nervous because we've had so many meetings we've missed. Hopefully we're on, Ryan's making phone calls and everything now to make sure people are showing up. So we'll see how that goes through the winter. QPAD was designated the planning agency for the MMP, 23-member body, and that's controlled by the state. We have to have elected officials, we have to have people who are involved with landfills or transfer stations, we have to have business people. It's all very specific. Jim Nankervis is the elected official in the county. I'm representing the county's interests, which is why I'm giving this. So it's very specific on these 23 people. We've only been able to, again, get 21 because some of the counties haven't replaced those people. So, do these plans require that everyone recycle and compost? No, but they do require that recycling options be accessible to all residents in some form. So this is a requirement that the county's going to have to deal with. Not that we don't already. We have to have some kind of drop-off facilities. We have to have haulers available. We have to have municipal facilities available. Organic waste represents one of the largest shares of landfill materials, so that's going to have to be considered too. Partridge Creek is represented on our planning committee, so Phil's there. And the rest of this is just kind of blah, blah, blah. So, the dates. January 1st of 2026, at least 90% of single-family dwellings in the census-identified urban areas have to have access to curbside recycling at least twice a month. In our case, that means West Ishpeming, Negaunee, Trowbridge Park, Marquette, and Harvey. So this is what some of the meetings have been about, is identifying who has what and who needs what. So by January 1 of 28, at least 90% of single-family dwellings in municipalities with a population over 5,000 have to have access to curbside recycling service at least twice a month. So for us, that means the City of Marquette, City of Ishpeming, Chalkley Township, and Forsyth Township. And lastly, by January 1st of 32, in each county there has to be at least one drop-off location for each 10,000 residents. They have to have access to curbside recycling, open at least 24 hours a month. So Marquette is going to need one more designated drop-off facility. I don't know what that entails or what this committee is going to recommend, but Mike from the landfill is also one of the 6 of us that comes down, so he's totally involved.
So we need one more?
We need another one, yeah.
Another one on top of what we have.
Yeah. So there's been some discussion, and I covered a little bit of that with you before about the Urban Cooperation Act and what was kind of recommended from the Solid Waste Authority. That's kind of gone by the wayside. I sent a big one-pager that said, okay, if you're going to do this, I got a hold of Scandia Township and Sands Township and said, okay, and Powell Township, what is it costing you to have this drop-off site? Because if the landfill figures they're going to go out and have 5 new transfer stations, that means land and building and fencing and lighting and utilities and payroll and equipment, composting. It's running around $100,000 a year for these facilities to function. That's payroll, and most of them own the land that the landfill's on, or their transfer station.
So that would be a big ask, to have somewhere around 500 grand a year, not counting buying the land or buying the building or, whatever. So there's a lot of moving parts in this, and that's why I'm trying to make sure you're aware of everything that's happening as it's happening. So next Thursday's the next meeting. I'll catch you next week.
I have a question for you though.
Sure.
So I had some municipality ask me this, Forsyth. They said, what if they don't comply with this? And I'm not sure, to tell you the
You're
truth.
gonna have to deal with the state. Yeah,
Right.
Eagle's gonna come after them.
Yeah, so Eagle's saying for Forsyth, anybody over 5,000 population, with Forsyth's 6,700, they have to have curbside recycling in 2 years, or a little bit over 2 years.
I'm kind of working on that. I've got a meeting, I had to cancel a meeting with Paul, but I've got another one.
So we really need to, your group needs to really work on trying to improve the amount of curbside recycling we have, right? That's
Yes.
a big thing, yeah.
Encourage.
Encourage it, improve it somehow,
Yeah.
right?
I have a question.
And a lot of what the landfill needs, that was what brought up the Urban Cooperation Act, they need product. And that was one of the reasons that the six got together and said, okay, who can bring what? So if they can get product, then the
You'll get more
tipping
product,
fees-
if you do curbside, you'll get more product.
Right.
Commissioner Lalonde, go ahead.
I had a question about organics. What process are they thinking about tackling that? Like I pay the $18 a month from Park Ridge Creek Farms, and that's really nice, and I see more and more of their buckets, but is that an expense that the communities need to take on?
Well, and Phil said too, at some point, they thought like in 3 years or so, that they'd be solvent enough that they wouldn't have to charge. So that's his goal, or their goal. So that would help. But we haven't covered organics at all at the planning committee.
Okay.
So stay tuned.
Lynn, I thank you for your commitment to Marquette County, and we appreciate all you're doing.
All the garbage.
Thank you so much. So, the state has a historic, they want all these programs without funding them, so.
Unfunded mandates.
Put it on the back, and I don't want to complain too much about the state, because we got 3 million in our basket. But let's move on. Informational items, no informational items. Action items. Let's take action on the Renovari Brownfield Plan Resolution. Board, you have in front of you a resolution from the Brownfield Authority.
Since I already tried this once.
Yes, go ahead.
I'll move approval of the proposed resolution for the Brownfield.
I second that.
Motion by Vice Chair Nordine, support by Commissioner Lalonde. Roll call vote, please, Corey Beth.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Lalonde?
Yes.
Commissioner Alholm?
Yes.
Commissioner Adamini?
Yes.
Chairperson DeRosa?
Yes. Moving to 10, motion approved, by the way. Moving to 10B, MERS Division 20 Defined Benefit Closure Recommendation. Tammy, you have the floor.
The county closed the defined benefit divisions over 20 years ago, and we had one that still remained open because we had active employees who could potentially be promoted and eligible to be entered into this division. With the 2 recent retirements, there's no more active employees who could be promoted here, so this is just a formal administrative step to close this division.
Okay.
There's no significant financial impact. We had an impact study done by MERS. It's negligible. So our recommendation is just to close down Division 20 for senior officers.
Okay, we have a recommendation from CFO Fassbender.
I move to approve the recommendation of staff.
A motion by Commissioner Alholm. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Commissioner Lalonde. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none.
I was just, MERS doesn't have to agree with this, we can just do it on our own.
It came from MERS.
Oh.
Yeah, every year
They asked us to do it.
it's just a formal, we have to have the plan, we need the board agreement to close the divisions, and I have to send it back to MERS.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Cammie. Moving right along, 10C, Room at the Inn ARPA Fund Extension Request. So we have in front of us, staff recommends the board to approve an extension and grant agreement and direct civil counsel to draft a second agreement extending the terms of, so I think this may be a little bit in error. We've extended this before. This will be, is my understanding when I think back, this was in 2022 that we allocated these funds?
Yes, this was allocated in December of 2022, and it opened up in January 1st of 2023 for a 2-year term. Then it was once again extended.
It was extended once earlier.
Yes, so this
So
would be the second
this is
amendment.
another amendment,
Yes,
not the
this-
first amendment.
No, this would be the second amendment.
Okay.
And the only question I'd have is if they're not using, I don't know why they're not using the money. I've never seen a place
So
that
you-
you give them money and they don't use it. So I don't know if someone's here from.
Would the director like to come up?
So there you go.
So, yeah, so I guess the board may have a few questions here. Go ahead and state your name.
Yeah,
for the-
hi, my name is Chelsea Wilkinson. I'm the executive director of our Room at the Inn. I've been the director since the summer of 2023, so I inherited this generous grant to Room at the Inn, and it was my board's prerogative. And I actually have the original funding request in front of me, just so that if we wanted to look at it, I don't know which of the commissioners were
So,
here for that.
Chelsea, was the original request, as I understood it, was for infrastructure?
That's correct.
And what was the amount that was spent so far? Do we have those numbers? That
We have
you've-
what's left, yeah.
You've taken,
Yes.
what was it used for so far?
So far, we've been able to replace all of the windows on the second floor, which is where the primary sleeping quarters are for the shelter. We've also been able to repair the stairs that are going down to our basement, which are used many times a day by folks that store their belongings at the shelter. They do their laundry. We have a pantry and thrift store downstairs. So we replaced the stairs on that. We've also been able to renovate our main shower room on the first floor. And the reason why we're asking for the extension, and I hope that this will speak to why, when I started, one of my board's primary concerns was redoing the brick facade on the front of the building. And so I'm sure everybody drove past the summer where we had scaffolding on the sidewalk in front of the building all summer. In the spring, we had engaged with a contractor to do that work, and there were several delays that were out of our control. And then about a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, we made the decision to terminate the contract with that contractor because they were not completing the work as it should have been completed. It was supposed to be completed at the end of June, and then it was the end of July, and then all of a sudden it's the middle of September and nothing is done. So it's more of a we would like to extend it because we want to find another contractor to be able to do the brick facade, but that's been a real challenge for us.
So how much money has been allocated to that company that failed that you're terminating?
So we, just like any of our other contractors, we paid half up front as a deposit to get the work started, and we were supposed to pay it on the back end. It was $19,750 is what we paid up front, and I will say that both Patrick Crowley and William Sullivan are members of my board, and we are currently working to recapture that deposit.
So my question is so we took 19,000 for the pre-funding of this, right? So how much was it?
$19,750. Yeah.
So okay. And this company are they a licensed company in Michigan?
Yes.
And what is their name?
It's Black Rocks Masonry.
Black Rocks
Masonry?
Yep.
Masonry.
Yep.
And has there been a suit filed yet on?
No, we are still within the time frame for them to amicably give us our money back.
And this contract went out in June?
Yes. Well, we signed the contract and had them start doing. It was the end of April, but they were supposed to start in the first week of June.
So was the total contract for this Black Rocks Masonry the $50,881?
No.
The remainder that's left, how much was that project?
It was going to be right under 40,000. So whatever 19,750 times 2 is, I don't know how to look at
Okay,
this degree.
all right, so just under 40K. So I guess,
So
go ahead.
So we left a little bit of wiggle room. So we had spent down a little bit on some other projects, but and I do have pictures of the actual, and they're old photos, but they're photos that
were taken of what was happening kind of behind the signage. So you have the signage, and you have this like piece of wood on the front of the building, and then behind it you have some pretty substantial erosion happening in the masonry. And so even though the quoted amount was that a little less than 40,000, we were building in a little bit of wiggle room in the event that they got all those bricks down and it was a real mess back there. And so part of the funding request also has several other things that in the event that hopefully it's not a mess behind the brick, we're able to spend that on some of the other things that were denoted in the original request. And many of these projects have already been completed, so.
So, was there an RFP put out for this? Were there other bids outside of this BlackRock's company?
No, so we had called around. We were having a really hard time finding anybody to even be interested in the project.
So,
And
there wasn't an advertising in the building exchange or any?
No.
Okay. So one of the concerns I have is that, you know, I remember when this was going on and we had the funding available, there was significant groups that had requested based on the need and the immediate need. So I'm looking at a 2022 allocation. We are now 3 years down the pike and we haven't spent the $100K that we allocated to a nonprofit that's important to Marquette City and the community. Although I'm not shifting blame on anybody here. I have a hard time when there were so many needy agencies that wanted to, you know, we had the Women's Center, the Jansen House, there were numerous, Beacon House, YMCA.
Chair, I'd like to address this, because it's...
Let me finish, please. So, my concern is that how do we move forward when, you know, and we're under the impression that these things get bid out, and how do we end up with a company getting 50% of a project? We have a due diligence of taxpayers of Marquette County when we fund something. This is troubling for me, so, but
Sure.
Commissioner, go ahead.
You know, I asked questions about this too. You know, they put the bids out, these are small jobs. And in my opinion, just with my work with the building trades, when it's a smaller job and there's so many larger jobs out there right now, it's hard to get someone to come in. And you're not always gonna know who's gonna be a bad player and not do a good job. You know.
It's a unique
It
niche.
is.
Brick, it is
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to find people for small jobs.
Yeah.
Doing brick. I agree with that. It's a tough deal.
And if I can, I'm certainly not making excuses, and I do want to be clear, this is a very critically needed infrastructure upgrade to the building. And
So then I would ask, if it was so critical, why wasn't it done 3 years ago? That's my problem with this.
Sure.
And I'm not trying to be short about, in fact, we delivered food and you allowed us to help me stay late in that facility. I think you were called one night. And township dinner when we took all the prime rib over and did, right? So I get it. But so often we have boards that we see that aren't, you know, maybe doing what they're committed to do, and whether it's, you may not have been there 3 years ago, I'm not sure.
I wasn't, but that's okay.
Yeah, and so here we are faced with this board is tasked with making sure that there's fiscal responsibility to taxpayers' money as it gets doled out. This doesn't sound responsible to me, but I'm not gonna beat this to death for sure.
Well, and I have concerns as well, but I don't know what else to do, because, I mean, I don't like it that it was 2022 money and now we're in 2025, and you're probably not gonna spend it until 2026, 4 years down the road.
Sure.
And so it's concerning, but it's a good thing you're here tonight, because if you weren't, you probably would have got a different result. But I don't know what else we're gonna do, because I think it is needed, and I think that you sound like you're trying, and man, it better get done.
So I got a question for the CFO. There's a timeline on this funding? Isn't that accurate? that we,
Not for this. These funds are restricted by the board. You designated our ARPA funding for various projects, and there's no other deadline than internal to spend this funding.
There's our funds.
Okay.
there are funds, okay?
And your board members, you have 2 board members that are working on getting those funds back.
That is correct, yeah. So
And-
Patrick Crawley, as well as William Sullivan are both on my board and both been committed to making sure that money gets back to us. And I will say that I received this contractor as a suggestion from a county employee. And so I will continue to beat the bushes and ask. And it was somebody that, works in housing. I mean, all of us housing folks, we run in the same circles. So I will say,
Chelsea, thank you for your commitment. I get it. You're a hardworking lady who very, very fond of what you're doing.
Thank you.
But having listening to this, I think we could put a hold. My first thoughts are we could put a hold on this and see whether the home can recover that revenue, and then reallocate this in a package. And I guess I think there has to be some level of recovery of the taxpayers' dollars. And do we just turn a blind eye and say, hey, chalk it up to bad business? I don't know that we should do
It's
that.
got to get done.
Well, Room at the Inn is committed to getting the money back, so I'm not worried about that situation. I will say that it's not very frequently that agencies like ours have access to capital improvement dollars, and so I am committed to working with the local trades folks, and I know that like the cathedral across the road and both the library have had to outsource to a construction agency outside of the UP to get their facade work done, and that is absolutely something that I'm willing to do. We were just trying to find somebody local to do the job because it is so small, and we were afraid that it was going to be cost prohibitive to get somebody from out of state to complete the job. And I would be willing to work with Dwayne, to work with whoever on the board, to be transparent, come give updates on that. So whatever you guys want us to do, we're willing to do it. This was just truthfully outside of our control, and that's.
And I'm not sure you're gonna get all that money back, because I'll tell you right now, as an attorney, construction jobs like that are tough litigations. They really are, 'cause I've done many of them.
Is the scope of that project to redo the entire front brick?
The brick, yes, on the facade, yes, on the front. And it kind of goes around the edge. So the complication also ended up being the electric to the building is faceted to the brick that has to come down. So in addition to the contractor, frankly, not doing a good job and not managing the project the way that they should have been, the logistics of shutting the electric off to the building between my 4 deep freezers in the basement, my security systems, the fact that almost 50 people live there, that became a really big lift. And with a contractor that wasn't managing the project, we couldn't do that lift alone. And so.
So what percentage of the work did they do?
0%. They took the awning down and built the scaffolding like 3 times before I said, come get the scaffolding, I'm done.
Did I hear somebody stole all our scaffolding? Is that accurate?
Yeah, somebody did steal the scaffolding, yes, because it wasn't being used.
Wow.
Well, you do an important function, or I should say that organization does an important function. I give you a lot of credit. It's a tough thing to handle that whole situation there. But I think it's important though, and so I don't know what to do about that. If it wasn't that, I'd be a little bit I'd be more reluctant to extend it, but I'm kind of leaning toward extending. I hate to say, but.
Well, frankly, I'll take all the help I can get in terms of locating a contractor to be able to.
It's hard to find contractors for small jobs, and it's hard to find contractors.
So I'm concerned now how you're gonna get a facade with just $50,000 left. That's just not probably realistic at this point with brick.
I am confident in our ability to get it done.
Are you?
I am.
I like her confidence.
Well, I like her passion on what she's doing for the community. That's what I like.
She's lucky she's here.
I don't like
Otherwise
the-
this would've kind of-
I don't like the fact that at some point our phones are gonna ring off the wall for mismanagement of taxpayers' dollars, but, I guess having said that, let's move on here. What's the board's flavor?
I make a motion to extend it additional year.
Support.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lalone. We have support by Commissioner Elholm. Any further questions or comments for Chelsea? Hearing none, all in favor, board?
I was gonna make,
Aye.
I was gonna make a comment. When you put your RFP out, I would contact the, UPCC, Upper Peninsula Construction Council, and they also have a list of preferred contractors that are very good, and building trades.
Maybe you get the construction trades group to put the high school students on that brick project.
Oh, yeah.
No, but-
Could be a good summer
Absolutely.
camp program.
Hey, I'm.
All right, all were in favor, motion carried. Thank you for your time, Chelsea.
In the future, I would love to present at a more appropriate time. I did leave some impact reports for the board for your consideration.
Thank you for your time. Yes. No late additions. Public comment. Oh, we do have a late addition.
Yeah.
Hey, he's standing up right here.
I got a paper left.
Oh, boy. Sorry about that,
Yeah,
Jerry.
Jerry Desana, Health Officer for the Health Department. I do want to apologize for the late addition. It was kind of my inexperience.
No, we're okay.
Doing the RFP, but what you have in front of you is a proposal to get the drain fields repaired at the Health Department. So I don't know if you know, but there's two of them. So the building that looks like a house, that drain field drains to the east, and the rest of the brick building, that drain field drains to the west. Currently, the one on the east side is failing, so we're having to empty the tank. We emptied the tank on the 19th of September, and we had to empty it again on the 1st of October. So about every 12 days it's filling up. So this proposal is to replace and repair both of them because the other one's over 40 years old. We're making a recommendation to award the bid to Superior Drain and Sewer.
So how did, you have a grant that pays for 100% of this, no county money at all, really, it's a great
Correct.
state grant.
Correct.
When did you apply for that grant? You saw this coming?
No, this is part of the 704,000 that we have. We got a state grant, infrastructure grant. So this paid for the condenser that got replaced, it's paid for the redoing of the thermostats, it's paying for the renovation.
I thought it was a grant for this particular purpose,
No.
man, that was fast.
No, we're just utilizing this, we have
All
to
right.
use the money by the end of 27, or September 27.
I get it now.
Why is there such a discrepancy in the amount of
You
the
know, I was kind of surprised too, you know, Patrick, our environmental health director, said we had a lot of permits coming in, there's a lot of people looking for, so it might be a lack of work. There's like 35 contractors that do this, we have them all licensed, and 4 of them did a walkthrough and only 2 of them presented a bid, but maybe he's just saying, hey, I'm busy, so I'll just highball it, if I get it, fine, if I don't, I don't know the answer, but that's kind of my guess.
I'd move we follow our health officer's recommendation and have this work done by Superior Drain and Sewer teams.
Motion by Vice Chair Nordine. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Commissioner Lalone. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Get her done.
Yeah, winter's coming.
Get her done before the snow flies. All right. Public comment. Public comment. Okey, you got it up. Bobble. Bobble got it.
Only 3 minutes this time though, so you're all close.
Bobble's up.
That doesn't count out of my time. Introducing myself, Margaret Brum, daughter of Robert Brum. I'm here in a really strange capacity for me. If you look at me, you would not think this, but I've been hired by Northern Michigan University for the last 5 terms to teach 2 classes in marijuana law. And it boils down to they have a cannabis operation program and they needed someone to teach it. When they found out I was a business law professor, they assured me I'd be perfect for the job. And I told them, no, I'm not. I'm literally the only person on the planet who can say I've never smoked a joint. They said, that's not required. So every time I go and I say, have you found someone else yet? They say, no, you're doing a great job. And I'm like, oh, crap. So, and as part of my job this is the most fast-moving area of law I've ever worked in. I know you have your counsel. I am not trying to substitute for your counsel. I'm here as an interested taxpayer. Part of the budget last week was they did a 24% increase in marijuana sales throughout the state of Michigan. This was a huge increase, but much like the sin tax on alcohol and tobacco, they have nailed the marijuana industry, which is one of the hugest, fastest growing industries, as I tell my students, which are taking these classes because they're making a fortune. What is missing from this, though, is the follow-up from local government organizations, and I'm thinking of our new administrator. I have belonged to a fun group of people called the Cannabis Operations Society of the Michigan State Bar Association. I get an email every morning. This came out, and we were told that we should let our clients know that as fast as this $420 million flows into the state from the cannabis industry, because they're not going to go out of business no matter how much they tax, because there's just too much money to be made. As fast as it comes in, it's going to be siphoned off by other people. Therefore, they are recommending that all of us who have clients or customers in the area make sure that the state knows the quantity and amounts of money in that government area that are involved in marijuana. And I'm looking at our county administrator. Do we have an inventory of our marijuana shops? Do we know their location, their setup, and their value? Because that needs to be communicated to the state right now so that we get our share. This says for road and other things. Being politicians, as we all are, we know as fast as that money comes in, it's going to be siphoned. And we're told to let people know now is the time to communicate, not next budget season. Get your letter into them right now, introduce yourself, and list all of the shops in the county you're aware of. And make sure that you want an accounting for our share of that money, and that you're not going to accept that it'll come later. Because if it comes later, it's going to not get above the bridge. And again, I feel very strange offering legal advice to people who haven't asked for it. But if there's one thing I know about cannabis operations is that it's not going away, and it's being regulated differently. And Michigan it's a cash windfall. And they had a huge deal to get this passed, and it got passed. So my recommendation to you is you consult your own counsel, but that is not too soon to make that list throughout the county, and make sure that the state and your politicians who represent you know that we want our share of this money, because otherwise it's not going to get above the bridge. And again, I feel strange giving advice when not wanted, but you have been very gracious about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your public comment. Public comment? Public comment. Is there any further public comment? One more time, public comment. Electronic comments that we need to... Public comment.
What about the young men in the back? Are they students back there or what? Oh,
I don't know.
not paying attention.
That wouldn't be, yeah. So, one more time, public comment. Hearing no more public comment, we will close the public comment period. Commissioners' comments. Commissioner Adamini, we'll start with you, sir.
I'm late for something else, so.
Okay. Commissioner Lalone, your turn.
Okay, Commissioner comments. I was at our MAC board meeting last week, and our county chair is now on the MAC board. It was a very good meeting. They did talk about our Medicaid state insurance, why our prices are going to be going up. They also there was discussion on community mental health and that possibility of it being privatized, and there's litigation in the state right now regarding that. I recommend looking into it if you're interested, because that wouldn't be good for our rural area. What else? That's all I've got. It's really, I missed Planner Day up here because I was downstate, but I still took a picture of my plaid, but it was 85 degrees. I was dying. I'm so glad to be home too.
Commissioner Alholm.
I would just like to follow up to Commissioner Lalone's statement on this legislation and this problem with mental health counseling. We received a letter from Adult Learning Systems UP, and I'm honored to serve on that board. And there are serious financial consequences if this privatization goes through, which could actually affect the ability for these places to operate. And the ridiculous amount of overhead for from 2% currently to 15% under privatization is in itself, why are we even looking at it? So this needs to be addressed.
There's even more.
Vice Chair.
I don't know if I have anything. Although I'll tell you what, I'd like to give my my thoughts to Scott and Sally Searle. That's where I gotta go right now, by the way. They're having a going away party because they're moving from the area, but they're the ones that built the Up North Lodge, and it's a great little place that everyone in Marquette County goes to, so I wish them well in their endeavors. They're moving, I think, to some state in the far east, like Maine or something.
Wow.
So, yeah, right.
I'm good. Thank you.
Administrator.
I'm all good.
Civil Counsel, Alex.
Nothing to add, Chair, thank you.
CFO.
Thankful we have a state budget.
Thank God.
Hopefully the federal will follow. On the marijuana retailers, they had 14 establishments in Marquette County. I believe 2 closed. We received $815,000 in prior year, and we dropped our estimate to $700,000 for the next fiscal year.
For what?
For the marijuana retailers, for the pot tax. I can't say that word, sorry.
Corey Beth.
I have nothing.
Nothing? Well, I got a couple of things I got. So, can't stress enough the importance of the 131 and the rescue that took place, although unfortunately there was a death, and the importance of fiscal management and services that we provide the community through millage, and the 131 team and search and rescue is all part of a millage based. So I couldn't be prouder of that team going down that pipe in that situation to do what they do, and hats off to them. And at all times we need to make sure that they're fully staffed and trained and with the latest and greatest gear, because if you're that individual in that pipe, let me tell you, you want that group coming to help you. So, couldn't be more pleased with their commitment. And from the entire Marquette County Board to the 131 volunteer group, hats off. The next thing I'd like to speak to publicly, in regards to the state budget, Cammie, I was happy to see that it's passed, but more important, just about every agency across the state of Michigan was slashed in this tumultuous budget term. But we owe a hats off to Representative Bonak in the 109th, the 108th, David Preston, 110th, Greg Markkinen, and Senator McBroom of the 38th Senate District, along with the Lake Superior Community Partnership and Christopher Germain, for their efforts, making sure, hard to believe, but Marquette County received the $3 million that was committed to. Even with all the turmoil that took place prior, they got it across the finish line, and that's a commitment to Marquette County and the residents and the people of Marquette County of what they've done, and hats off to them, because they certainly delivered, and they did what they said they were going to do. So when somebody does something really good, we have a commitment to applaud them and make sure that they're recognized for their hard work and their efforts. So I applaud that group as well. Outside of that, that's all I have. It's always a pleasure, Board. Meeting adjourned.
Oh, and remember, we have a meeting next week, so this
Oh,
is
next
a
week,
weird
yes.
month. We have 3 Tuesdays in a row.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to send letters to these representatives?
I believe